So here we are. Welcome to my live stream around NIO Day market reaction. I hope you guys are doing well. Some of you probably just woke up in the US. I'm going to cover what's going to happen now that the markets are opening in the US. And first of all, as always, thanks guys for joining. I appreciate some likes and shares and all of the feedback. So yeah, write in the comments. Just try and pick my brain in terms of you got any questions surrounding NIO. And as always, this is not investment advice. I'm just a private person sharing my opinion here. This is not sponsored content and certainly not investment advice. I cannot help you to buy, hold, or sell any of the underlying shares that I'm discussing here on the channel. Anyways, just sharing my private opinion here and starting off today with a little bit of the macroeconomics. So we see that possibly the overall markets are going down today. At least it looks like the Dow is about to drop 100 points. So this will put some pressure also on NIO, that's for sure. But anyways, we still have to see whether or not this will be a sell the news or buy the hype type of event. If you are following my channel, you know that after Q2 earnings, I have actually jinxed the result and opened a bottle of champagne and was very happy on the fundamentals. But what happened? We saw in the morning in the German markets, NIO was up significantly. But as soon as the US markets opened, we've seen that actually NIO was tanking, I think, around about 10%. So NIO is always very volatile, and the final judgment will be what will happen in the US markets today. So if we take a look here at currently German markets, it's up around 11% in Germany. So this may be a little bit of a catch-up of last week's closing of the Friday trading that has happened in the US when the US markets were still on and the German markets was closed already. So I wouldn't give too much on the German markets today as an indication of where we are going today. Instead, if you are one of our Patreon members here of my channel, and if you are part of the NIO gang tier, so that's from $10 US a month contribution, then you are invited to this Patreon only community here, where I make also posts around my trades. But letting you know that I am kind of a hold and a buy and hold strategist. So I'm not really day trading, right? So I'm sitting on my computer every day and try and time the stock markets and so on. I'm usually just buying some stuff and then hold it very long. But some of you people are really interested in my portfolio and also, the indications and the insight I have into the markets, and that's where I am sharing it, because I think this is working much better than, for instance, Discord or the Patreon itself. So feel free to join that if you want this kind of insight. And yesterday I made a post on what are my predictions for NIO for Monday opening based on what we've seen on NIO Day. And as you know, I'm a really long-term holder. I have started coverage really early on NIO, and I'm also an early investor. So I'm sitting at an average below $4 US a share because I bought early. And although I bought up, but I made most of my investments during the troublesome times where NIO was almost bankrupt. So, but on top of that, I'm also holding a couple of let's say more short-term oriented stuff. For instance, I've got call options that are expiring this Friday with a $50 US strike. I think I mentioned that before on the channel as well. And I was holding all of them also actually going into the NIO Day, because I thought NIO may actually surprise on the general sentiment. I mean, we had all of the rumors about what will happen on NIO Day, right? And to be honest, most of it really was what happened on NIO Day. So we saw the new ET7, we saw the battery swapping station 2.0, we saw the 150 kilowatt hour battery. The solid state rumor was there before, but on top of that gave this a little bit of a nice flavor, I guess. But still, you saw from my live stream, if you've seen it, that I was kind of flashed about the whole presentation and like the looks of the ET7 and so on. And I think, this kind of, how to say, this media coverage, I think to many new investors and also the media landscape in general will, in my point of view, lead to a surprise. And so I said, overall, I'm expecting that NIO will actually go up on Monday. We'll see if that will be true. And I said that it's possibly going up until $65 a share, where we possibly see a resistance. Now, I know there's also a couple of bear cases, but first let's have a look. So now we are trading pre-market in the US, and it's exactly sitting at this resistance here, right? So it seems we're sitting at $65 a share. That's exactly what I saw as a new resistance when I made this post on Sunday. So we will see, possibly we could see a sell-off going back. If this is a sell the news event, we could actually go down, I think, 12% more or less, until we see some resistance around the $57 mark. I'm not sure if the purchase, the buying power is so high that we actually will shoot through the $65. We have a couple of reasons around why this could happen, actually. So for instance, not sure if you saw this one, but these are new price targets issued by some of the bank analysts there. So Credit Suisse upgrade to $71, JP Morgan upgrade to $75. Daiwa Securities, man, the first triple-digit target, $100 price target. CICC, $85. And what the fuck is wrong with 86 Research? I mean, I know they are pretty bullish on Tesla, so they are maybe a little bit biased, but a sell with $15 price target. I mean, this is even worse than what this is even worse with than what Citron suggested, right? So I don't know what they're missing. Actually, I like the company because they also have coverage, for instance, on Huami, ticker symbol HMI, in which I also have a position, and I'm covering it here on the channel. But on NIO, that wasn't a great call by Robert Cowell. So I hope that he could kind of revise his position there, because that doesn't make much sense. So this is kind of, the positive side, mostly possibly regarding the new autonomy play. I guess people were surprised by the upgraded NVIDIA and NIO Corporation here, regarding kind of the equivalent of full self-driving to what Tesla is doing. And then obviously during the market open in 7 minutes, we also need to talk about Tesla, right? So I have this chart open. I'm going to watch NIO, Tesla here, Xpeng, and also Baidu. You guys know that I'm actually long Baidu as well. And we had if you look, on Friday, we went up 15%. So I'm long Baidu common stock, but also some call options on Baidu. And well, definitely we've had some really nice news lately around, of course, also EV rumors. So I've been covering them regarding the investment through another company, in a company called Weltmeister WM Motors, Weimar, which is a kind of a mass market producer in China. But I am actually coming more from the position that, Baidu is misconceived as a search engine, and rather should be, hopefully in the future, a artificial intelligence and healthcare play. But you can watch my Baidu videos if you want to know more about that. Anyways, pretty nice stock movement recently, and I am pretty sure today with the news on Geely, yes, it looks like we're gonna open even higher. So really nice swing here on Baidu, which is a stock that lately didn't do a lot, but it looks like it's quite promising in the near-term future here, even as an EV play, but obviously also as a play on autonomous driving. We know Baidu is doing lots of the V2X infrastructure, and they have the Baidu Apollo program, in which also NIO is part of it. Then a couple of words around Tesla before we are opening the markets. And you guys know I'm also long Tesla. It's actually my second biggest position in my portfolio right now. I was early investor in Tesla, invested before I actually invested in NIO. So I know, pretty much around all of the fear, uncertainty of doubt in the recent years. But these are my views on Tesla, because I think Tesla has nothing to worry about NIO Day, because in my point of view, and I outlined that in a video yesterday, I think NIO, what they showed during NIO Day, is a fundamental differentiation to Tesla. I think they're competing in different market segments. They're competing also in different approaches towards technology. And this is just this kind of core efficiency rating where I look at how much range they can achieve for how big the battery pack is, and also the weight of the car and so on. And if you look at this, you still see who's in the leading part here, and that's Tesla. Already with today's technology, they're outperforming any other EV on the market. And we also know that Tesla is the quickest one to scale, particularly in China, right? So I've been to the Gigafactory in Shanghai, and it is massive what they have built in such a short amount of time. They're ramping Model Y, they're ramping Model 3, and now even rumors about a new China specifically designed car, which I am hoping that it is adopting battery swapping technology. If you know my videos, that's possibly quite unlikely to happen. But anyways, these are still my views. So I don't expect Tesla to tank on the NIO stock price, action, and on NIO Day news. But some people are saying, like, well, maybe Tesla investors will shift some profits and go and take them into NIO. So generally, my thought on that is that doesn't make much sense, because NIO is not a threat to Tesla in my views. Both companies have extreme, let's say, potential in the future. Tesla more on the energy business. NIO, in my views, more on the premium market, as well as even the e-commerce business. So I'm gonna elaborate more on that in future videos. But when it comes to the stock trading here, there might be some funds and hedge funds in particular who have to decide whether or not they take a position either in NIO or in Tesla, and they may be more opportunistic here. But as a long-term retail investor, for me, it doesn't make sense to switch between the pockets. For me, it's important to be kind of riding both of those stocks for another 5 years or more to come. So now we are 3 minutes into the opening. Yeah, Louis, see your comment here about champagne. I decided to not do this again, because last time NIO has actually tanked on the despite perfect news on the Q2 earnings. Last time NIO was tanking into the open of the markets after they announced those really cool Q2 earnings numbers. So let's see what will happen. As I mentioned, it looks like we are now sitting at a resistance zone. I could imagine that we start off, and sorry for my weird trend lines here and so on. As I mentioned, I'm not a professional stock market trader. I'm not a day trader or something. I just use this as a reference. I try to identify also some short-term trades and trend lines here, and so far it's working quite well for me. I'm now mainly looking at this short-term price action in terms of what I'm going to do with my calls that are expiring on Friday. If we are really seeing a large spike today, I may actually sell those calls and take some profits, maybe 1/3 early, and then later on buy the underlying common stock, or I try to exercise the stock if we are going gradually. Maybe if we have a rejection now and going back and find more support levels here. Let's see how this will play out. So it's 1 minute into the opening. What are your bets? Xpeng, XPEV, yes, gonna talk about that. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen with the opening. Okay, we see a red candle, so sell the news. For now, it's selling off. Let's see where it stops. Selling off big time. Still up 8%. And we see some support. Okay, looks like we are not selling off completely, but still with a little bit of an intraday sell-off. Let's see how the others are doing. Tesla, big red candle. Okay, what's Tesla doing? Down 4.6%. Baidu also red. Xpeng doing quite well, holding up, but not perfect. Back to NIO. Okay, seems like NIO is kind of stabilizing a little bit here in the first minutes at the very top of this resistance level. Seems like we don't have the power to go beyond the resistance for now. So I'm expecting that we actually may have a little bit of more consolidation here happening. Now we see a little bit of buying up. So I think that's interesting to see Tesla selling off, but I mean, Tesla had a huge run in the recent days, and I'm not worried about my Tesla stock. I'm not gonna sell a single share. But yeah, now also some buyers coming in here. Tesla seems to be stabilizing. I mean, a couple of people have possibly were fearing that Tesla will be impacted by the news of NIO, but so far it looks to me like it's mainly NIO profiting from this news. Nasdaq is down 1%. Also, S&P 500 is down around 0.7%. So looks like the overall markets are red. So a little bit of pressure on the stocks. NIO is holding up on this resistance level, doing quite well. And Tesla is kind of recovering, but obviously is losing out here a little bit. But I think this is actually exactly the reaction that I was looking to see from the markets. This is really positive. If we would have like, a break of this trend line like early on, now that I'm saying we're actually moving towards it, I think it can really quickly become quite unsustainable, right? We don't want too large spikes, because then once again we also get those big corrections. I mean, some people may remember the times when we had the spike to $56 a share, and then weeks and days of consolidation coming down to, I think it was $38, which was the support level. Actually, at this level, I was buying the $50 calls going into NIO Day. I knew NIO Day is possibly a catalyst. Boom, we just broke the resistance. Okay, now we can actually, now we are free to go up. Now we could go towards the $70, and this, if NIO is closing today above this $65 and some cents, then this is the new base. This will be now then the support level going further. And I mean, you've seen the upgrades, right? The upgrades of the bank analysts are super bullish. And I haven't looked into the details yet, about like what are the underlying assumptions to those price targets. I would assume that now we had the Q4 earnings, which were not the earnings, but the Q4 deliveries. They are now in, and we know the numbers, and they have been pretty good. That was actually the worst thing that could have happened to NIO, were that if they would have missed the Q4 delivery numbers, then this stock was about to tank dramatically. But that didn't happen. Quite the contrary. What they achieved was really remarkable, and I think that was kind of justifying the growth numbers. And now we are in 2021, where with the production capacity that they now have, it's really looking very positive that they can fulfill the 2021 targets. So I expect that those bank analysts are now already looking into 2022, 2023, and so on for their projections regarding deliveries. And now with what we've seen with also the autonomy play, their way of targeting the more premium segment in China with the ET7 and their unique approach to self-driving, and also around all of those more software types of revenue streams like the full self-driving, the battery subscription, and so on. All of those things that NIO has actually been working on for years, now they can become part of those valuation sheets. And as we know, software has higher revenue multiples, and investors and bank analysts are very forward-looking today. So this is explaining why companies like NIO and Tesla have much higher market caps than legacy car manufacturers, as well as some other stocks out there. Wow, NIO is now up 12%, so that's a clear bullish break here of the resistance level. So yeah, wow, really impressed by this stock movement. Of course, I'm happy about this. Still, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up, around the $65 by the end of the day. So we will have a couple of candles moving up higher, but then I expect a new consolidation around this area here. Let's see, and in the coming weeks, hopefully, run higher, because with those new analyst targets, I think that's definitely in the books. So what I'm personally gonna do is looking how I'm going to trade my call options, because I've got a couple of different call options. I also have long-term December 2021 call options. I bought them actually quite early, so they have still like a $25 strike. So they're doing quite well. And then, now those $50 strike calls expiring on Friday, I need to see whether or not I'm gonna sell them today or within this week. I think possibly I make it dependent on whether or not we manage to close above this level here. Now you see a little bit of a consolidation here. But yeah, really bouncing around this yellow line here, which in my views is a trend level. Okay, let's take a couple of your questions. One question was about XPeng. Let's have a look at XPeng stock. I'm personally not invested in XPeng. I'm not bullish on XPeng. I have outlined this in a couple of videos before. And also, if you compare it with the NIO stock, you can clearly see that there's a totally different sentiment to the stock and a different, let's say, bullishness around it. XPeng has been doing quite well in the recent months, doing a little bit of a catch up when we had this kind of fear of missing out rally with all of the Chinese EV plays, but since then trading sideways, and I just don't see the same potential as with what I can see from NIO and from Tesla. And I also have been doing some due diligence in terms of looking what customers are actually saying around it in China. So I don't want to talk it down. For me, I think there is a necessity for more EV players in the market. It can't only be Tesla or NIO. Similarly, also the manufacturers like BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Volkswagen, all of them will bring out electric cars. And what's interesting about XPeng is definitely their unique approach to self-driving, but I would doubt their capabilities so far in this area unless I see something that changes my mind. For me, the most interesting EV full self-driving play is still Tesla, even after NIO Day. I mentioned on my recap video about NIO Day that I'm excited about it. I'm not necessarily a proponent of LiDAR technology. I think I completely trust in Elon Musk's approach here, saying that LiDAR is not necessary in order to solve full self-driving. Yet, from a Chinese perspective, I completely understand where NIO is coming from. As I mentioned several times, NIO is focusing on user experience, and also safety is super important from a Chinese user perspective. So I would assume that because they have this advantage of the cost of producing in China and sourcing LiDAR really at cheap prices, why not have those better sensors? And you see that in the entire presentation, it's all about better sensors, better data, and so on. Whether or not this is necessary, we should see in the market when they actually launch the products. I think so far, NIO Day as well as Tesla Autonomy Day and so on are what they are. They are marketing presentations, right? So now we will have to see what actually follows in terms of execution. And I'm really bullish on execution in terms of Tesla and NIO. And I'm actually thinking that the full self-driving beta that we can see out there on some of the videos hasn't been fully comprehended yet by some of the investors. I think it's actually surprising and looking very well. For NIO, yesterday I outlined, on Saturday, I outlined that I actually would like to see more, like not only a video, I want to see prototypes tested, some, I don't know, some leaked videos or something like that until I kind of, comprehend and understand and believe it. But on the other hand, you also have possibly seen my videos on the NIO approach towards autonomy, about the Mobileye cooperation, as well as the cooperation with NVIDIA as well, and also how they are involved in the Baidu Apollo system. And also my thoughts about Ren Xiaoqing, which is kind of, one of the iconic people around machine learning, visual image recognition and stuff like that. So I do think that really NIO has the in-house capabilities to work on the software. More than 60% of NIO's R&D is based on the software. And I think with the setup of the team, NIO really should have a good chance of actually executing on what they have been showing during NIO Day. So now we see a little bit of a pullback here with the NIO chart. It's going back. Yeah, as I mentioned, I want to see where NIO will close today. Will they manage to close above $65 a share? If it's closing above, then I would say we can run further. If it's closing below, we will possibly test the $58 or something once again before we can go higher. But the price targets out there. Today we have lots of pressure in the market. You see it. It's all red. Apple down 2%, Alibaba down 2%, Baidu even down 2%. Man, wow, looks like a sell-off actually. Infineon down. I've got some shares on Infineon. MicroStrategy. Yeah, Bitcoin has a huge correction, which I think is healthy and good. What else? Tesla now tanking 5%. Yeah, definitely now it's driven by a more overall market pullback. So this is now not so much about the different stocks, each of the different stocks. This is currently, I think, driven by the larger algorithms of what's happening in the markets, maybe more the macroeconomics. I'm not following right now what's happening. If there's any negative news, BioNTech, COVID vaccine. Yeah, all of the markets are red today, which is okay because we had some really nice run-ups recently. Only one really green is our favorite NIO stock here. Can I comment on Huami? Yeah, actually I have some really interesting Huami content coming up. As you guys know, I'm invested in Huami. It's actually one of my biggest positions in terms of personal money in, not the biggest position in the overall portfolio right now, but I know this is not one of those hype stocks like, let's say, Palantir or whatever that is hyped by other YouTubers. I make kind of different investments, to be honest. I don't jump on the bandwagon of each of and every stock that is IPOing or that looks innovative or stuff like that. I rather look into really long-term plays and where I see that they have the potential for a 10x, and I try to align a larger amount of my portfolio to it. So that's why I'm in Huami, where I know that recently it's been a terrible performance. If we look at it, it's not a sexy stock chart, that's for sure. But I think it's hugely undervalued just on the fundamentals. Although I have to admit, the recent earning calls weren't good, and also my point of view, they're not really communicating well in what is the vision and what they're actually doing in order to execute on this vision. But in terms of my channel, I have the exciting news that I will be bringing on another investor, where we will kind of geek out on our investment thesis on Huami. We are both long Huami. We see it kind of as a play on a new Teladoc of China. So I think Huami is interesting because they own the health data. I'm actually wearing one of their watches right now just for testing purposes. So it's cheap in order to break into the mass market. They have their own sensors, their own algorithms. They use that data in order to offer healthcare services in the future. That's my hope. So yeah, still early stage. I understand if people are not willing to, be as patient as I am, but I'm definitely patient on that one. All right. Any thoughts on NIO? What's your overall sentiment? Now I see more pressure on NIO. Yeah, that's definitely driven by the overall stock market performance today. Wow, Pinduoduo down 7%. In my point of view, Pinduoduo was kind of keeping up too well in regards to what we had around the anti-monopoly rules in China, because I think actually Pinduoduo is a target of that, not so much as, for instance, Tencent or other stocks. So it was interesting to see that Pinduoduo has been holding up that well. Wow, even Square is down 4.5%. Tiger, huge correction. You guys know that I'm invested in Tiger and Futu as Chinese brokerage firms. I have a long-term view on them as well, that I think they could be a 5 to 6x in 5 to 10 years future when they keep on growing like they do. There's a huge community of high net worth individuals in China, and I think that's a cool opportunity that will be the future of investment banking. But there are some issues around Tiger's stock because they're not 100% clean. So always, if you're investing in Chinese company, there is risk attached, and also they share, for instance, I think a board member with a company called GSX Tech Education, which is a company that has really big issues with some short seller reports. I think maybe Muddy Waters is short GSX Education. So be aware of that. On the other hand, you can buy Tiger and Futu together for less than 10 billion market cap, and gives you exposure to the Chinese stock brokerage market, which is mind-boggling in my views. And just from a user perspective, what I see, what's going on in Europe, I mean, like, we have such a bad user experience when it comes to brokerage firms. Anyways, NIO is under pressure right now with the overall market situation here, but nothing to worry about in my view. Still holding up quite nicely in contrast to the rest of the markets. Damn, Tesla sees a big sell-off here, but nothing to worry about in my views. Doesn't look like it's breaking major trend lines here. Let's see, should have some support around this area. Just roughly. Don't trust my drawing skills here. I'm not a technical analyst, but as far as it's holding up above the 815 US dollars roughly, I think it could just bounce again and recover from this recent sell-off today. I think this is mainly driven on overall markets. All right. So let's take some comments here. Let's do a little bit of Q&A. What do you guys think about NIO Day, and what are your plans on either holding or selling NIO? As I have mentioned, I am not day trading. I am also not looking to time the markets in terms of time this spike after NIO Day. Definitely not looking to pay any taxes on my gains and try to time the markets and be smart about it and get in. No, I'm just holding, but maybe you guys are actually trying to buy back shares cheaper. What is your views on NIO Day? Are you bearish or bullish? Are you excited about what they have shown? Okay, David is buying at 59 US dollars a share. Bill, thanks for your shout out. I actually recognize you. You're one of our Patreon followers. Thank you so much for the support, Bill. And you recommend that I should sell my NIO calls by the end of the day. Yeah, I possibly, looking at this today, I possibly shouldn't have done this stream and instead focus on selling my calls with the spike. Anyways, there are so much in the money that I possibly don't have to worry about those calls, but maybe the implied volatility is quite high now. I think maybe the markets will recover till the end of the day, because what I'm seeing right now is quite a sell-off actually, but usually till the end of the day that might actually recover a little bit. So yes, I may take some profits then finally on some of those calls that I had or that I'm still holding, yeah, to be honest. Yeah. Bullish, bullish, bullish. People are bullish. Cool. Yeah, the theta decay is high. You're right, Mr. Shao. You're right about that. Bullish as hell. Good to see. I mean, I'm getting all the comments, on our Patreon, but also on Twitter and so on, and seeing a couple of people being disappointed about NIO Day. Others, yeah, really excited around it. So it was interesting to see how this would reflect in the share price today. So technically, it's not a sell-off today. It's not a sell the news event. If I can sum this up for now, it looks like that NIO Day has been really positively received. First with major upgrades by the analysts, and now on a technical level, once again, I am looking for the 65 US dollars mark as an indication whether or not during this week we will go up more or we go back down, testing some other support levels. As I have mentioned, this also largely depends on the overall market. And as we see today, the market is shit. Man, Bitcoin tanking. I was actually waiting for a Bitcoin consolidation. And the nice thing about Bitcoin is it's really predictable in the way it's trading. As I mentioned in my videos, I'm really late to the Bitcoin party in my point of view. But so I haven't followed it in the years before, but with my childish drawings here of a little bit of analyzing the stock, not the stock price, the Bitcoin price, I was really able to time where it will be going. So that's really positive for me. Around everything else, around the debate whether or not Bitcoin is just a pyramid scheme, or whether or not there is just any truth to the scarcity of Bitcoin and all of that. I'm definitely make sure to have some updated content around this, and also my investment hypothesis around this on Bitcoin. But what I can say for now is I'm definitely very, very bullish on Bitcoin. And I think the sell-off is really good. I'm actually hoping that it can stay down a little bit further, so that gives us better prices to re-enter. Because I think this is frankly far from over. I think Bitcoin has much higher levels to see. Okay, what else? NVIDIA, good comment. NVIDIA, I didn't watch NVIDIA, and to some people, NVIDIA came as a surprise. Although, as I've mentioned in my recap video, it wasn't surprising for me because we saw those rumors around NIO and NVIDIA before. So for me, NIO Day was much more confirmation on some of those different rumors, also about the solid state battery, like with ProLogic. I kind of missed that with my analysis going into NIO Day regarding where the 150 kilowatt hour battery, where this could possibly come from. Actually, I knew about the rumors about ProLogic before, but I didn't remember it anymore, frankly. But the truth is that this wasn't entirely new, right? So yeah, NVIDIA is doing really well as well today. So investors are really reflecting that. Also, this cooperation with NIO, that's good to see, to be honest. I think it's good to see support from such a higher market cap and important company like NVIDIA to be part of this overall positive feedback from the markets on what has been shown during NIO Day. And as we speak, NIO is already recovering and sitting back at the 65 US dollars mark, or 64, looking really good in my point of view. Okay, let's take a couple of more questions, a little bit of Q&A before I round it up and finish this live coverage of the markets today. Okay, let's see what is an interesting comment. Here, Bill again, talking about the usual number one volume is NIO, and the price boosts are pure pimple-faced Robin Hood speculative adventure dating. If NIO gets one bad delivery number, it will go down 50% in a day. I agree and disagree, Bill. I don't think NIO is purely up because of retail investors. I think retail investors have a too small stake in the overall trading. Such a high volume company and stock like NIO cannot be influenced entirely by just purely small traders like us, I think. But I agree with you on the volatility. NIO can go down any day 10, 15%. And frankly, we had some really interesting days where we had intradays where NIO was opening minus 5% and closing 5% up by the end of the day. So there's lots of momentum in the stock. So this is also why, if there's new fear, uncertainty, and doubt coming out, NIO can react quite a lot to those news, but by the end of the day, it can't just go up as quickly as it goes down. So I think that the main issue around NIO here is that, well, most people firstly don't understand NIO. That's why I'm preaching it on my channel. Second of all, there is still, I mean, the markets are very forward-looking. I mean, the valuation of NIO is high, that's for sure. And of course, if they miss on any of those fundamental numbers, this will have implications. That's why I said why the Q4 numbers, the December deliveries, were so important. And now we have probably another record Q4 earnings, and that is putting some investors at ease. And now, once again, I have to look into the price targets of the bank analysts. What are the new assumptions on that? And just based on the price targets, I can already tell you that these are very bullish assumptions on which I would say we shouldn't hope that this is happening, from today already and next day that they achieve those kind of price targets, because that could be really unsustainable. And as just correctly, any negative news could have the implication that this will have very negative market reactions. So that's why you should know that NIO is a very volatile, very risky stock, but you don't get high gains without high risk, in my point of view. And on top of that, I think that was one of the main outcomes of NIO Day, that it's kind of, putting some more support in the NIO valuation in terms of that the company is maturing, that the approach is sound, that they have a clear proposition to investors and also differentiation to, for instance, Tesla. And on the other hand, exciting long-term targets to hit. And that's a good combination in my point of view, because it's giving a lot of room to run for the stock. And ultimately, kind of a higher support levels in terms of if we have negative news. I think not all of the negativity will actually manifest in the share price. We will have investors that jump in earlier and buy back those shares. Okay, one more question around Plug. I have to say I'm not invested in this company. I'm actually, as far as I know, it's a hydrogen stock, right? And I am really not into hydrogen. I think battery electric mobility is the future. Hydrogen is not as efficient. I think it's also a problem of the German automotive industry that they have burned too many billions in the R&D regarding hydrogen. I think hydrogen makes sense in larger applications, for instance, trucking, ships, and so on, but not for passenger vehicles. So only long the EV plays, NIO and Tesla here. I'm not buying any hydrogen stocks. That's just my view, so I cannot tell you anything more about hydrogen. Also regarding China, I know China is investing in hydrogen as well, but I don't think that this is really sustainable. Are you worried about solid-state batteries being able to keep up to demand of 2020 since they get them from CATL? I'm going to do a separate video on that. I'm currently doing my due diligence and doing more research. And I've already, in my last video, I think yesterday, I pointed out where the SSD batteries for NIO are possibly coming from Prologium and Prologic, and you need to differentiate, and I think that's what many investors are getting wrong. For instance, lots of people have been asking me about a video by a guy called Kevin. I don't know, I don't follow him on YouTube, around the issue whether or not NIO has actually something defendable in technology there. And you need to differentiate between battery cell chemistry, the battery cells, the battery modules, the battery packs, and so on. Who's doing what in this whole thing? And as far as I know, NIO has this partnership with this company in Taiwan called Prologic. And no, I may have pronounced it wrongly. Prologium, exactly, that's it. And with such a partnership, they usually also buy the volumes already. So not worried about the volume, actually. And then your question around CATL, yes, they could still have a play in that, because if you remember, NIO has formed this battery asset management company together with CATL. CATL is a shareholder, which is super important, because that is much more than just a partnership with NIO here. They are actually incentivized to make this battery asset management company be as successful as possible as a shareholder, right? So CATL may be part of this mass production of those solid-state batteries. So maybe some of the technology is actually coming from this partnership with Prologium. And NIO has kind of this secret sauce, the recipe of how to put this together. I put it out an article yesterday. They have this approach that this is not a pure play solid-state battery, because that is hard to mass produce and manufacture, as far as my understanding is currently. And on top of that, it's also quite costly. So they kind of go in a way in between, but more on that later in a more detailed video. And then I know NIO is possibly keeping some of that IP and know-how by themselves, and together with CATL and in this partnership comes up with this new battery pack that, what is, in my point of view, the most important part here, is swappable into the entire fleet. So I'm also not worried about some of the beers or people who were disappointed by the NIO Day were actually saying that the timelines are too far out. I disagree with that, because first of all, I like that NIO has learned to kind of set expectations low and then over deliver. And second of all, I think yeah, with those timelines, it's quite realistic what they want to achieve. And I think this is actually not too far out in my point of view. So I'm happy about that. For me, this is not a bearish signal. Neither the partnership, no supply constraints, no issues with CATL and so on. But anyways, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button if you want to not miss out on my detailed video on this topic. All right, last comment that I'm going to take now before I wrap up this live broadcast, which is NIO cannot scale fast enough for a cheaper car yet. And I am in quite a contrary opinion here. I think it's not the goal of NIO to produce a cheap car. This is the outcome of the NIO Day as well. NIO is not going into competition with Tesla and the Model 3. NIO has shown that they are keen to look to compete with the German premium to luxury OEM in the Chinese market first. In my views, they're not going to go and publish, let's say, a ET5 cheap sedan in the short term. I rather think they will enter the mass market segment with another brand like the Hycan brand, the GAC NIO partnership and joint venture, because it's the right approach in my views, that they are now trying to build this high brand as far as they can for now, until they start thinking about something like having more cost competitive cars out there. I think this is an important branding approach here by NIO. And I'm glad they didn't announce a cheaper model, because if you're looking to invest in efficiency, and that's what I mentioned with this chart earlier, if you are looking to invest in the efficiency leader and the cost leader, can't find the chart right now anymore, but that company is Tesla. Tesla is the king of scale. Tesla is the king of vertical integration and manufacturing. And NIO would be wrongly advised to go and join the efforts to compete on that. So that's my views on that. So I think that was a good decision by NIO to do it that way. All right, that's it. We are perfectly sitting at $64.85. That's the support level. I would hope that we could close above this level. That would be the support level going out into the day. Rough day in the markets. Everything really red, besides seemingly NIO and NVIDIA. So that also gives us room for, if the next day is green, if the overall markets are green, then surely NIO could continue this bull run based on the overall new price targets. So good day for NIO out there in the markets, definitely looking good. Okay, last question is thoughts on Jumia. I actually was invested in this Africa play before, e-commerce play. I have never done real due diligence, so I can tell you about some of my investment failures here. I have sold it with a little profit, but sold it not at a good price. If we look back, that now it's doing quite well. So I don't have a good insight in that stock, to be honest. But on the other hand, I can also tell you that sometimes selling just because you want to free some cash is not the best idea. Once you are in a stock, maybe it's also a good idea just to, see it as a position and keep going. But on the other hand, there are also investors out there who say, like, if you got losses, cut them as fast as you can. Anyways, these are my overall thoughts, that usually I try to only invest. That's what I have now learned in my couple of years that I am investing in the stock market, that I only invest in companies that I really understand deeply, then rather not so diversified. And by that, I have a clear understanding of the potential of this company, and thereby I can also align more money to this single position. And that way, if it really goes up, then I have also significant gains. I know this quite in contrary to what we see on lots of other YouTube channels in terms of new IPO, new EV play, new whatever. I might be a little bit old-fashioned here with my approach, but so far it has done quite well for me because my portfolio has done a 10x, more than 1,000% up last year. Already looking quite good in 2021. I'm also bullish on the overall market in 2021. So let's see where we go. Definitely stay tuned for more content on Bitcoin, Chinese plays, Tesla's China business, and more stuff to cover. I had lots of content recently around NIO, obviously because of NIO Day, but now I'm hoping to also give you some more thoughts about other Chinese stocks in the future, maybe also some macroeconomic views around China's way of towards cryptocurrency space, China versus US macroeconomics. I'm trying to find out where Jack Ma is for you guys. So I think he was not in the trunk of the ET7, but obviously I have no investment in Alibaba, but still would like to know where Jack Ma is. So stay tuned for that. If I've got any news, I will make a live stream for you guys. And then other than that, expect more content frequently here. So please, guys, subscribe, like, share it. And thanks for watching this live stream. And then with that concludes my live stream for today, sitting perfectly at 64 US dollars, 88 cents. Bar cents, so lucky number 88 in Chinese terms. So thanks guys for watching. See you next time. And yeah, please leave some likes, comments, and feedback.